Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to a couple of replays. First off, we have Attack 1211, who is already in the midst of a heated battle, having spawned twice in truly Japanese tanks, and suffered at the hands of American bias. Our hero, Attack 1211, now taking advantage of one of the strongest medium tanks in the game, the incredibly powerful gun of the 76 Sherman, the wet ammo stowage, the fantastic gun handling, especially for its battle rating, the great reload rate, and the punchiness of the cannon, armor that can sometimes bounce a shot, and mobility that keeps up with medium tanks of its battle rating. Ladies and gentlemen, the M476 Sherman with the wet rack. Picking up his second tank kill rather rapidly here, Attack 1211 is going to live up to his name, going on the offensive, a counter-offensive you might say, trying to pick the right moment to pick off that Sherman, and an enemy slugger gets slapped on his way to his own piece of aggression. The superior gun handling with that low-speed stabilizer really coming through for Attack, as just a bit of underleading on that very rapid moving Sherman. Looks like a jumbo, but now it's Jum Barbecue as an ally takes the tank down. Later on in the match, having repositioned very quickly here, Attack taking down an M42, dusting that one off. It's always nice to be in something like a Sherman when you're facing those large caliber anti-aircraft vehicles, because you have just enough armor to laugh at them frontally while you spurt them with the main gun. Another enemy tank, another kill. This Sherman 76 speaking for itself in terms of lethality. A true medium tank in the game, and well used in the hands of Attack 1211 as he shows us how it's done. Bouncing a shot off his side armor must have been just enough angle there to take down the foe, as a 20 mil opens up behind our guy, dealing insignificant damage to a fuel tank and nothing more. Pushing forward into the smoke, Attacker on the attack as well. Now, with targets all around him, you can hear them moving, and no doubt an enemy 20 mil somewhere in the area. And yet, where do you go from here? Well, you go on the attack. Teamed up with his squad mate, I think it's a random squad, as this Tovarish is playing USSR, and getting a nice shot bouncing off the engine deck of the M6, who just refuses to acknowledge that there is a foe toward his rear. Targeting the highly angled upper side armor is not going to work out well for him there, and it looks like Attack might not have the highest level of crew training yet, so between that decision to shoot at an angle he wasn't going to go through, and the fact that his loader is not maxed out, I believe we're looking at someone who hasn't spent a ton of time playing this tank, and I look forward to seeing Attack fall in love with the 76 Sherman the way I have. There are a few vehicles in War Thunder. Oh, by the way, I say that I knew his loader wasn't maxed out because the reload reticle in Replay is based on a minimum skill crew member, so you'll actually be ready to fire before that loading indicator is done in the Replay if you have a highly trained loader. Did that make sense? That wasn't the best way of explaining it, but it's yet another feature in the Replay system that just goes to show that the War Thunder Replay system is held together with duct tape and well wishes, and it's running out of well wishes. In any event, attack has done very well here, and I was on the subject of medium tanks in War Thunder between the Panzer IV F2, the 76 Sherman in all of its incarnations. It's actually a 75mm cannon, but they call it a 76 because they don't want you confusing it with the shorter 75, which was in circulation around the same time as this gun, and it was possible to order the wrong ammunition. It was not possible to load the wrong ammunition. Anyway, the 76 is basically a 75 with more powder behind the round. So a longer casing with more propellant, but otherwise essentially the same gun as you find on earlier Shermans and so many other American vehicles that do so well in the game of War Thunder. But medium tanks. The 76 Sherman fits the meta for a medium perfectly. The idea with a medium tank is you want to deal as much damage as possible and have enough mobility to get into the positions you want to get into and not rely on your armor. For a heavy tank, you would like to rely on your armor. That's not really something that always happens in the game of War Thunder. The armor meta is sort of dead and gone, and if you manage to survive or bounce a shot, then that's the exception rather than the rule. So the medium tank meta is the meta for War Thunder, unless you can find a light tank with really good firepower, and then it's effectively fitting that medium tank meta anyway. And the 76 Sherman, as you see, fits that meta to a T. Attack, still on the offensive, taking shots where he can get them. Risky shot against the highly angled side of the Churchill. Still enough to survive, and it looks like Attack doesn't know where to aim to take down a few of these tanks. So again, he has more things to learn about this game, and yet he's being very aggressive. He's getting great results, and that goes to show that for those of us that have played this game for 1,000+ hours, there's some things that that we know are essential, and yet you can still do very well even without knowing little tidbits like where to aim to take down a Sherman Jumbo. From the front, it's the machine gun port in the hull, just so you know. That's the most reliable way to one-shot a Sherman Jumbo with something that has penetration similar to the 76 Sherman. And now, the tiny German. Eine Schmalz, Deutsches. How do you say lad in German? Mensch? Why not? Eine Schmalz Deutsche Mensch. Is that the right way to say it? Well, this is a Tiny German 26. The Tiny German 26. In fact, I recognized Tiny German from somewhere when he sent me a replay, and this is not the first replay he sent me, but enjoy this BT7 and IL-2 gameplay. This is the BT7 with the 76mm Soviet Spud gun that is by far the most enjoyable BT7 that I have ever had the access of playing. And Tiny German doing a great job of sniping here. But I recognized him from somewhere, and I found out that I had seen Tiny German's custom skins on Live.War Thunder. So for those of you that aren't aware, Live.WarThunder.com is the official War Thunder community hub. You might say it's the Facebook of War Thunder. And it's a pretty neat place. It's a little more sterile than say the Reddit or some of the Facebook groups you can join up with, or definitely more clean and pristine and thus oppressive. Freedom of speech. I'm an American after all. The First Amendment and the Second Amendment that guarantee it, close to my heart. Close to my heart. And yet, Live.War Thunder is a great place to share your community appropriate, your sterile corporation approved custom skins for War Thunder, pics, videos, comments, and social discourse in a nice, clean environment, more or less. And I've found that because of that, Live.War Thunder tends to be a lot more positive place than, say, the War Thunder subreddit, which is sometimes a hive of scum, and sometimes an enjoyable hive of scum. But you know what? It's my hive too. But that's where I recognize Tiny German from. And it's nice that he sent me this tiny replay because I really enjoyed watching this unfold for myself before everyone else. And you're going to see, first off, this spot on the map is just absolutely ridiculous that Tiny German has gotten himself up to. You can see where this is, and pretty much every vehicle can access this spot. And another thing to note, I've played some of this very BT7 myself lately. It's great fun. I've been enjoying my 3.0 and 4.3 USSR lineups where I find these vehicles. Sounds like my baby needs me. But the BT7 still has bugs with its suspension and the way it drives. If you mash go on the W key, sometimes only one track will engage, so you have to mash other track on your go pad to get the tank to actually start moving. And there's only like one time that bug has gotten me killed, but still, BT7 has been out for how long? And this is a bug with every version of the vehicle. And then if you look at the suspension animations while you're driving, say go into a replay and zoom in and just watch the suspension while you're driving, and you will see things that no mortal eye was meant to comprehend. In any event, that is not what we're going to focus on now. You can see what Tiny German is doing. This is high-level gameplay, right? This is the Galaxy Brain stuff that I saved for later. I talked about how experienced players have one way of playing the game, but newer players that don't know everybody's weak spots and don't have that, top-tier strategy going on in their head, they have a different way of playing, and it works for them sometimes. But this strategy here that you see Tiny... Excuse me. I still got the black luck. Oh, Tiny German gets taken down. I was just about to tell you that that strategy you saw him using to get up to a good defensible ridge top, look down on the enemy, and snipe him out, that's going to work for just about everybody. Okay, baby, just a minute. Yep, just a minute. Okay, I gotta go turn on a light for my daughter, who's decided suddenly that there's not enough light in the kitchen where she's eating her cereal. I'll be back in a minute. And obviously, Tiny German doing well here in the IL-2. Okay, right back with you. Okay, now, I ain't saying my 2-year-old is bossy, but I am saying that she tells you what she expects you to do, and she expects you to do it. You know what? Maybe she's bossy, but she's usually fairly reasonable, and she loves to have lights on. So there's 2 lights in the kitchen, and she knows it. None of the lights were turned on, and she didn't care when she started eating her cereal, but she cares now. Tiny German, vertical attacks with the IL-2 against lightly armored roof armor of German ground targets. It doesn't get any better than this. And for those of you that have been playing War Thunder for a while, those of you that are looking to get into close air support, which I feel is fairly well balanced at this point, yet it's a lot more difficult to get results, especially to get kills, than it used to be. And that is, of course, what makes it more balanced when compared with ground forces, where it's exceptionally more easy to achieve a kill, and yet much more difficult to get into position. Of course, far easier to outmaneuver people. Dropping the bombs, and boom goes the dynamite. It's far easier to maneuver in an aircraft than it is in a ground vehicle. Tiny German using the fantastic mobility of the IL-2, and yes, this is mobility when compared with ground vehicles. It's not the fastest aircraft in the game, and yet it turns very well at low altitude, where you will always find yourself using those aspects to get into position to put his 23mm cannons to good use against enemy aircraft, or sorry, enemy tanks. However, lacking the opportunity to take that enemy fighter head on, he is going to lose a wingtip, and after the enemy fighter gets dealt with by another team member, Tiny German manages to salvage his beautiful Il-2 Soviet attacker and respawn in time with a beautiful new plane and lots of ordnance that's not going to manage to make a difference in this fight. With an incredible 12 kills, a beautiful close air support mission accomplished, and yet the battle is a loss as the enemy team captures the capture zone. A great fight put up by Tiny German, the actual German team that he was facing, as you commonly see, performing very well at this tier, where the German Long 75 can make such a pointed impact on a battle. And yet this is the tier among Germany, USA, USSR, and even some nations like Japan and France, where the close air support is just perfect. If you're looking to fly CAS, you can find some teachers in the Toshio Thunder Zone, myself included. And if you're looking to submit a replay like the ones you've seen today, the Discord link in the description of this video will bring you to my Discord channel, where you can find the replay submissions channel and send me your own submissions. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this one, as I eagerly look forward to getting over this chest cold and to seeing the Swedish ground forces come to the game. Catch you in the next video. Bye bye.